You didn't choose your personality, your tendency to take wild risks or play it safe, your moral compass, even your capacity for self-control. These aren't just products of your upbringing. They're written into your DNA. Dr. Kathryn Paige Harden's groundbreaking research reveals a truth that makes people deeply uncomfortable. Genetics don't just influence eye color and height. They shape the very architecture of how your brain processes risk, reward, and right versus wrong. And pretending otherwise isn't noble, it's scientifically dishonest and potentially devastating. Here's what the latest behavioral genetics research shows. Specific gene variants directly influence dopamine receptor density in your brain's reward circuits. If you carry certain polymorphisms in the DRD4 gene, your brain literally requires more intense stimulation to feel the same reward response. You're not choosing to be a thrill seeker. Your neurobiology is demanding higher stakes experiences just to achieve baseline dopamine satisfaction. This isn't weakness or poor judgment. It's neurochemistry written in your genetic code before you took your first breath. But here's where it gets controversial. Genes also influence moral reasoning. Variations in serotonin transporter genes affect your brain's capacity for impulse control, empathy, processing, and ethical decision-making. Your sense of right and wrong isn't purely learned, it's partially hardwired. The implications are staggering and uncomfortable. Twin studies show that up to 50% of the variance in risk-taking behavior is heritable. Identical twins raised in completely different environments still show remarkably similar patterns in sensation, impulsivity, and moral judgment. This doesn't mean environment doesn't matter. It means genetics create the neural foundation upon which experience builds. Your brain's baseline sensitivity to dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine was established by your genes long before your first memory formed. But here's the empowering twist. Understanding your genetic predispositions gives you power, not excuses. If you carry gene variants associated with reduced prefrontal cortex dopamine, you're neurologically predisposed to struggle with delayed gratification and long-term planning. This knowledge isn't a prison sentence, it's a roadmap. You can strategically compensate through environmental design, nutrition, and targeted cognitive training. Nutrition becomes critical here. Your genes don't just influence behavior. They influence how your brain responds to nutrients. Certain gene variants affect how efficiently you metabolize omega-3 fatty acids, how well you absorb and utilize B vitamins crucial for neurotransmitter synthesis, and how effectively your brain processes magnesium for neural regulation. Two people eating identical diets can have dramatically different brain chemistry outcomes, based purely on genetic differences in nutrient metabolism. Understanding your genetic profile allows precision nutrition for optimal brain function. The moral dimension is where genetics meets philosophy in explosive ways. Research shows genetic variants influence activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex and anterior cingulate cortex brain regions critical for moral reasoning and empathy. People with certain MAOA gene variants show reduced capacity for emotional regulation and increased aggression under stress. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it demands we rethink simplistic notions of moral responsibility. Some brains are neurologically disadvantaged in exercising self-control and ethical judgment, but genetic influence isn't genetic determinism. Your genes load the gun, environment pulls the trigger. If you understand your genetic vulnerabilities, you can build compensatory systems. If you're genetically predisposed to impulsivity and risk, you don't surrender to it, you engineer your environment to protect against your weaknesses. Remove temptation. Build accountability structures. Supplement strategically with compounds like L-tyrosine to support dopamine production, magnesium L-threonate to enhance prefrontal cortex function, and omega-3 south to stabilize neural membranes and improve impulse control. The ultimate truth, we're all playing different neurological hands, dealt by genetics. Denying this creates a cruelly false meritocracy where people with genetically advantaged brains claim moral superiority over those neurologically predisposed to struggle. Understanding behavioral genetics isn't about excusing bad choices, it's about developing compassion, building smarter interventions, and giving everyone the tools to optimize the brain they were born with. Your genes shaped you. Science can help you transcend them.